Human finds alien girl repairing a drone, but human learns the drone is tracking him. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's return to our main character. The storm hit the abandoned mining station like a rolling freight engine, rattling every loose panel in the metal shell. Ion wind hissed across the broken skylights, carrying the sharp smell of overheated wiring. Ethan Cole stepped through the warped entrance, helmet lights slicing through drifting dust. His handheld scanner crackled with static, glitching as another surge rolled across the station. Every few seconds a faint beeping echoed from deeper inside, steady and rhythmic, like a heartbeat trapped in the walls. He paused, listening. Machinery shouldn't be running out here. Not after the place had been shut down for years. He adjusted the strap of his tool pack, the nylon cutting across his shoulder. Probably just an old capacitor cycling, he muttered, though the tightness in his chest said otherwise. Ethan wasn't a soldier. He fixed things, power lines, broken conduits, life support glitches. But today every sound felt wrong, like the station itself was holding its breath. His scanner flickered again. A drone signature flashed across the cracked screen, tagged unknown. It hovered ahead somewhere in the service bay. He moved in slowly, boots crunching on shattered glass. The air smelled like burnt copper. Then he saw it, blue light pulsing behind a half-collapsed bulkhead. Ethan crouched, heart thumping, and leaned around the bent metal. A girl he had never seen before knelt on the floor, her skin a soft blue that caught the glow from the sparking drone beside her. Her hair floated gently as if responding to the charged air, and her fingers moved with precise, almost musical rhythm over the cracked drone casing. She didn't look dangerous. She looked focused. Hey, Ethan called, keeping his voice steady. You okay in here? The girl flinched, shoulders tensing, but she didn't run. Her eyes, bright and reflective, shifted to him, wary but curious. She tilted her head, studying his human features like they were the unexpected part of this moment. The drone at her side beeped sharply, a red indicator pulsing. Ethan recognized the pattern. Tracking mode. His breath caught. She must have read the change in his posture because her expression softened, almost apologetic. It's not supposed to follow you, she said quietly, her voice calm and melodic. I was trying to turn that off. Ethan swallowed. So it is tracking me. She hesitated, then nodded once. The storm outside growled against the metal walls, the lights flickering overhead. Ethan exhaled slowly, the realization settling cold in his stomach. Someone, or something, had sent a drone after him. And the only person who knew why was the strange blue-skinned girl kneeling in the dust with its open-circuit guts scattered around her, like puzzle pieces waiting to be put back together. The girl's fingers hovered over the exposed circuitry as the drone emitted another soft chirp that bounced off the metal walls. Ethan felt the sound settle low in his chest, steady and deliberate, like the machine was waiting for him to move. The charged air made the tiny hairs on his arms lift. He kept his hands visible, palms open, showing he carried only tools and not a weapon. The girl studied him with a calm that surprised him, her bright eyes reflecting the flicker of emergency lights overhead. I can shut it down, she said, her voice quiet but sure. The signal is tangled with an identification system. It keeps thinking you are the subject. Ethan steadied his breathing. That sounds like a pretty big mistake. She glanced back at the drone, shifting her weight lightly on the dusty floor. Mistakes happen when something older than me is running broken software. Her tone held a touch of dry humor, unexpected and oddly grounding. A deeper rumble traveled through the station as another gust from the ion storm hit the structure. The ceiling shuddered, dislodging a few tiny bits of debris that landed softly around them. Ethan took a slow step closer. Mind if I take a look? She hesitated, then nodded, scooting aside just enough to give him space. The drone's casing was warm beneath his fingertips, humming faintly like a living thing. Red indicators blinked in a steady pattern across its panel. Ethan recognized fragments of the interface, but not the whole language. Alien tech, but patched. With human parts. Whoever built it had been desperate or resourceful or both. You repaired half of this using old survey equipment, Ethan murmured. And a transmitter coil from a weather station. That is clever. The girl's expression softened with a hint of pride. I needed pieces that would hold under the storm. Ethan adjusted a loose wire, careful not to cross the wrong connection. So it really was not you who sent it after me? She shook her head. I found it outside. It was stuck in crash mode. When I opened its memory, I saw your profile tied to a tracking loop. You must have crossed a boundary that triggered it. Ethan frowned. I was only here to check a power relay. Nothing unusual. Her bright eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Then the signal is not responding to your actions. It is responding to you. That sentence echoed in the dark hall like a quiet thread pulled loose from a larger pattern. Ethan felt the weight of it, heavier than the storm pressing on the station walls. Do you know who programmed it? He asked. The girl shook her head again, her silver blue hair shifting with the movement. Not yet. Its memory is damaged. But something inside it keeps restarting the tracking order. It is as if it is trying to follow a rule it does not understand anymore. The drone suddenly emitted a soft ping, brighter and more urgent. The girl leaned closer, her voice just above a whisper. It sees you again. Ethan gently closed the panel, steadying the drone with one hand. Then we should move, he said calmly. Before it decides it remembers something I do not. The girl rose, dust brushing from her clothes in the dim light. And for the first time, she seemed less like a stranger and more like someone trying to help. There is a safe place below the maintenance shaft, she said. If we reach it before the next surge, the drone will lose its map for a moment. Ethan nodded. Lead the way. She gave one quick, decisive nod and stepped into the hallway, her footsteps light against the metal flooring. Ethan followed, the storm pounding overhead, and the soft electronic heartbeat of the drone trailing just behind. The hallway ahead of them narrowed into a dim passage where the lights flickered in slow, uneven pulses. Ethan followed the girl's careful steps, noticing how she paused before each turn, listening for shifts in the humming air that he could not quite detect. The drone's faint electronic tone echoed steadily behind them, not aggressive but watchful, like a reminder that every second mattered. The storm outside continued to rattle the station frame, sending soft vibrations through the floor. How far is this maintenance shaft? Ethan asked, keeping his voice low out of instinct rather than fear. The girl glanced back at him, her bright eyes reflecting the weak, overhead glow. It is below the old compressor room. The structure down there is thicker. It blocks signals for a moment, long enough for me to reset the mapping function. She hesitated, then added, as long as the storm does not shift the power grid again. Ethan exhaled slowly. That is comforting. She offered a small, apologetic smile. I did not say it was a perfect plan. They reached a service ladder that extended into darkness below. The metal was cool to the touch, coated in a fine layer of dust. The girl braced herself and climbed down with surprising ease for someone who had been sitting on a floor moments earlier repairing complex electronics. Ethan followed, his boots echoing softly against the hollow shaft walls. Halfway down, the lights above dimmed further, leaving only the soft glow from the girl's wrist device to outline her silhouette. She landed gently on the lower platform, her voice rising to meet him. We need to move quickly. The mapping loop will correct itself soon. Ethan stepped off the ladder beside her. The air down here felt dense, cooler, and filled with a quiet that the upper levels never had. Only the low hum of the station's old ventilation fans remained. So why help me? He asked as they walked. You could have just left the drone alone and stayed out of it. She slowed slightly, fingers brushing the wall as though reading the vibrations. Because the signal was wrong, she said. It felt wrong. I do not know who you are, but the data did not match. Someone tried to force a pattern that does not fit. Ethan considered that. You can sense that kind of thing? She nodded. My people work with resonance. Patterns tell us when something is broken. And I am a broken pattern? Ethan asked lightly. The girl turned her head, studying him again with that careful, analytical gaze. No, you are the only part of the pattern that looks real. Before he could reply, the drone's tone shifted sharply above them, echoing down the shaft. The girl's attention snapped upward. It is correcting faster than expected. She quickened her pace down the narrow corridor, and Ethan matched her stride. The ground beneath them vibrated as the storm rolled over the outer walls, sending a soft metallic groan through the structure. Ahead, a circular hatch came into view, old but intact. The girl knelt beside it and pressed her palm to a small access pad. A hush of cool air escaped as the hatch unlocked and slid open just enough for them to slip inside. Ethan ducked into the space. It was a compact maintenance chamber lined with reinforced panels, the air quieter and strangely warm. The girl entered after him and sealed the hatch. The drone's sound muffled instantly, fading to a distant hum above. Ethan let out a slow breath. So this is the safe place. She nodded, her voice softer inside the insulated chamber. For a moment, her eyes lifted toward the ceiling, tracking the faint vibration. The system will pause the map. When it does, I can reset the drone to neutral mode. And after that? Ethan asked. She looked at him, calm but serious. After that, we find out why it was following you in the first place. The insulated chamber carried a soft warmth that contrasted with the chilled metal corridors above, and for a moment Ethan let the stillness settle over him. The girl moved to the center console, her fingers gliding across the faded controls as if she had known this place far longer than he suspected. A small indicator light blinked a muted green, struggling to hold steady. This system is old, she murmured, studying the panel. It will only interrupt the tracking loop for a short time. Ethan leaned against the reinforced wall, feeling the faint thrum of distant storm energy vibrating through the metal. Short time is better than no time, he said. She tilted her head, considering his tone. You stay calm easily. He shrugged lightly. When you spend years fixing things held together by hope and duct tape, you get used to unexpected problems. Her eyes brightened with amusement. Hope and duct tape. That sounds like a philosophy. More like survival, Ethan replied. The chamber lights flickered as the system shifted modes. A soft chime echoed overhead. The girl stepped back from the console. There. The buffer has started. The drone's map will momentarily lose its anchor. I can use that gap. She knelt beside her wrist device, opening its thin casing to reveal a small array of circuits glowing with soft blue light. Ethan crouched nearby, careful to give her room. The humming from above dimmed further as the chamber walls absorbed most of the vibration. You said your people work with resonance, he said gently. Does that help with machines too? She nodded without glancing up. Machines have patterns. They respond if you understand what the broken parts are trying to say. Ethan smiled. You make it sound like the drone is talking to you. She raised one eyebrow with a hint of playful honesty. Perhaps it is. Just not in words. Her fingers moved quickly now, adjusting tiny connectors and aligning signals. A stream of soft pulses ran along the surface of her device, like a quiet conversation between circuits. She exhaled slowly. The drone's loop is deeper than I expected. Someone embedded the command inside several layers of code. Ethan's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Is that normal for this kind of tech? She hesitated. Not for something designed to observe weather patterns or terrain shifts. This is deliberate behavior redirection. Ethan felt the weight of her words settle across the room. So someone wanted it to follow me, he said. Not just track anyone nearby. She pressed the final node into place, and the soft glowing network inside her device aligned into a steady rhythm. Yes, she answered quietly. But it is confused. It does not understand the reason behind the command anymore. She held up the small device as it emitted a gentle pulse. The drone's distant hum softened further, nearly fading from reach. There, she said, withdrawing a careful breath. I reset its core loop. When it finds us again, it will not recognize you as the subject. Ethan let the relief seep through him slowly. Thank you. The girl looked up at him, her expression calm but edged with something thoughtful. Do not thank me yet. The drone was tracking you for a reason, and whoever gave it that instruction may have more than one machine. Ethan absorbed that in silence. The warm air of the chamber doing little to ease the new tension coiling beneath his ribs. The girl stood, brushing dust from her hands. We should return above. The systems will not hold this signal block forever, and I want to see if the drone attempts a new pattern once it resets. Ethan nodded and moved toward the hatch. He paused, glancing back at her with a mixture of curiosity and gratitude. You never told me your name. She blinked, surprised for the first time since he had met her. Syrah, she said softly. My name is Syrah. Ethan offered a small, genuine smile. I am Ethan. The storm rumbled again somewhere beyond the thick walls, and Syrah stepped beside him, her voice quiet but steady. Come, Ethan. The pattern is not finished yet. The climb back up the ladder felt different now, not just because the metal rungs were colder than before, but because Ethan could sense Syrah's focus sharpening with every step. The storm above had settled into a steady, distant rumble, like a reminder that time was sliding forward whether they were ready or not. When they reached the upper platform, the glow from the emergency strips had dimmed even further, bathing the corridor in a muted amber that flickered across Syrah's features. She paused, eyes tracing the vibrations in the air as if reading invisible threads. The drone has stopped moving, she said softly. It is waiting. Ethan frowned. Waiting for what? A new instruction. Or a corrected pattern, she replied. The reset I gave it may confuse it, but it will seek the next closest directive. Which could be anything, Ethan said. Syrah nodded once, her expression calm but intent. That is why we must reach the main relay room. If I can access the station system, I can see what signal it was using to guide itself. They moved down the corridor together, their footsteps light against the dusty metal. The old mining station felt almost alive now, pulsing with the slow rhythm of aging machinery and storm interference. Ethan's scanner beeped faintly in his pack, picking up intermittent spikes. This place should not have enough power to run a search grid, he murmured. But something is drawing energy from the lower levels. Syrah glanced at him. The drone did not arrive alone. Ethan's pulse tightened, not with fear, but with a growing sense of something larger happening around him. Then we need answers fast, he said. The main relay room sat behind a sliding panel that groaned softly when Syrah touched the access pad. Inside, the walls were lined with aging monitors, some cracked, others flickering with static. A large terminal sat at the center, its screen dark until Syrah laid her hand on the activation plate. A rush of blue-green light washed over the console, illuminating her face in soft glow. The systems hummed awake, hesitating before aligning into readable data. Ethan stepped closer. Can you trace the drone's mapping instructions? Syrah nodded. I can try. Her fingers moved across the display in smooth, deliberate motions. Patterns of symbols and pulses scrolled past, some familiar, most not. She frowned slightly. This command signature is unusual. It was not sent from orbit or a surface outpost. Ethan leaned in. Then where? Here, she said quietly. Inside the station. Ethan straightened. That cannot be right. This place has been abandoned for years. It is correct, Syrah replied. Someone restored a small portion of the system and hid it beneath the main grid. The power signature is faint, but steady. She tapped a sequence, bringing up a translucent schematic of the station. A single point of light pulsed in a remote portion of the lower east wing, a section Ethan had not visited. That is the origin, she said. That is where the drone received its instruction. Ethan studied the blinking point. Why choose me? I do not have any classified data. I barely have a working badge. Syrah's voice softened. Patterns do not always follow logic. Sometimes they follow fear. Ethan met her gaze, noticing a quiet certainty in her expression. You think someone is afraid of something I might know. Or something you might find, she said. A soft hum drifted from the corridor outside, not threatening, but familiar. Ethan recognized the drone's tone. Neutral, searching, but no longer fixed on him. Syrah looked toward the sound, then back at him. The reset worked, she said. It does not see you now. Ethan exhaled slowly, relief mixing with a rising curiosity. Then it is time to see what it was trying to protect. Syrah stepped away from the console, her posture steady and purposeful. Then we go to the east wing, she said. Because whatever is hidden there started this pattern. And it is waiting for us to see it. The corridor leading toward the east wing felt colder, as if the temperature dropped with every step Ethan and Syrah took. Dust drifted lazily in the air, catching the faint glow from their devices. Somewhere deeper in the station, an old ventilation fan turned with a slow, uneven rhythm that sounded almost like breathing. Ethan kept his voice low as they walked. If the station was abandoned, who would come all the way out here just to hide a signal relay? Syrah moved with quiet certainty, her fingers brushing the wall every so often, listening to the tremors shifting through the structure. Someone who needed a place nobody else would look. Old sites do not attract routine scans. They are invisible unless someone knows exactly where to search. Ethan considered that. So they hid something here. Something the drone was supposed to guard. Or prevent others from finding, Syrah added gently. Their footsteps echoed softly as they crossed into a wider hall where the ceiling arched in long metal ribs. Faded caution stripes ran along the floor, barely visible beneath layers of dust. A few inactive control panels lined the walls, their screens cracked like frozen ice. Syrah paused at one, resting her palm against its surface. The panel flickered weakly before settling back into darkness. The power load does not include this area, she murmured. Whoever restored the secret relay only powered what they needed. Ethan adjusted the strap of his tool pack. So what exactly are we walking into? A broken pattern, she said simply. Her voice remained calm, but he sensed a deeper focus tightening beneath her words. They continued down the final stretch of the hall until they reached a sealed maintenance door. A small indicator light glowed amber on its surface, warm and steady despite the rest of the station's decay. Ethan approached first, studying the panel. This should not be lit at all. The whole east wing should be without power. Then the relay is definitely inside, Syrah said. And it is still active. Ethan pressed the manual release. The mechanism clicked, but refused to budge. Syrah stepped forward, placing her hand lightly beside his. Let me try. Her wrist device emitted a soft, harmonic pulse, and the amber light flickered in response. The door slid open a few inches, releasing a faint gust of preserved air with a metallic scent. Ethan pulled it open the rest of the way. The room beyond was small, almost like a forgotten storage closet, but the soft glow of machinery illuminated the interior in pale blue light. A compact terminal sat against the far wall, humming gently. A dust-free circle marked the floor beneath it. Ethan stepped inside slowly. This was used recently, he said. Someone has been here. Syrah approached the terminal, her eyes narrowing as she read the shimmering symbols scrolling across its surface. This is not just a relay, she said quietly. It is an identification scanner. Ethan stilled. Meaning what? She touched the display, the light reflecting across her features. Meaning the drone did not follow you out of error. It followed you because this device confirmed your profile. Ethan's breath caught. But why? I am nobody important. Syrah shook her head gently. Patterns do not respond to importance. They respond to connection. She rotated the terminal slightly, revealing a smaller screen on its side, still active. A familiar shape pulsed on it. Ethan moved closer, his heart tightening. That is my badge signature, he said. Someone scanned it. Yes, Syrah whispered. But it was scanned before you arrived on this station. Ethan stared at the glowing pattern, confusion pressing in around him. How is that possible? I did not even know I would be assigned here until this morning. Syrah looked at the signature again, then back at him, her voice calm but threaded with quiet realization. Ethan, someone planned for you to come here. This was not an accident. The hum of the machine deepened, as if acknowledging the truth in her words. The soft light cast their shadows against the walls, still and steady, while the storm outside pressed gently against the distant metal frame. Syrah stepped closer, her voice nearly a whisper. And whatever they wanted you to find is still ahead of us. The hum from the hidden terminal softened into a low rhythmic pulse, steady enough that Ethan could feel it through the soles of his boots. The faint glow washed over the tiny room, brushing the dust-lined walls with thin strokes of blue light. For a long moment, neither he nor Syrah moved. The truth hanging in the air felt heavier than the storm pressing on the station frame. Syrah finally stepped toward the far corner, where an access panel sat partially concealed behind old equipment. The pattern does not end here, she said, her voice gentle yet certain. This device was only the first step. Ethan followed, the air shifting warmer as he moved deeper into the room. How do you know there is more? She touched the panel lightly, her fingers tracing a barely noticeable seam. Because the relay did not only read your badge signature. It mirrored it. Ethan blinked. Mirrored it where? Syrah met his eyes with a calm seriousness. Somewhere deeper underground. Ethan felt a chill, even though the room held a steady temperature. This station does not have an underground sector. It is all on one level. Not officially, she said quietly. She applied a gentle pulse from her wrist device, and the hidden panel responded with a muted click. Dust fell from its edges as it slid open just enough to reveal a narrow passage slanting downward. Cool air drifted out, carrying the faint scent of old metal and filtered ventilation. Ethan stared at it. This is not on any blueprint I have seen. Then whoever built it did not want it to be found, Sierra replied, stepping aside to let him see better. Ethan crouched near the entrance. The passage was tight, framed by rough-cut reinforcement beams that looked older than the rest of the station. A simple light strip pulsed weakly along the right wall, guiding a path downward like a quiet invitation. Ethan glanced at Sierra. You sure about this? Sierra nodded once, a steady confidence settling over her. The drone was following instructions. That instruction came from below. If we want answers, we must follow the thread back to its origin. Ethan exhaled a slow breath. All right, then let us see what someone expected me to find. He eased himself into the passage first, careful with his footing as the incline descended at a gradual angle. The beam of his handheld light cut through the dust drifting in front of him. Sierra followed close behind, her presence quiet but grounding. The deeper they went, the more the air changed. It felt denser, as if the space had been sealed for years but still carried a faint current of filtered oxygen. The hum of the hidden relay faded behind them until only the soft sound of their footsteps remained. This place has its own power source, Sierra murmured. I can feel the resonance changing. It is cleaner down here, untouched by the storm. Ethan touched one of the beams as he passed. This construction is older than the station above. Could this have been part of something else before the mine was built? Possibly, Sierra replied. Or it was added by someone who needed privacy and time. They reached the bottom of the incline where the passage widened into a compact chamber. A single cylindrical device stood in the center, almost elegant in its simplicity. Soft rings of light pulsed around its surface in slow waves, like a heartbeat in suspended animation. Ethan approached cautiously. What is this? Sierra circled the device, her expression shifting from curiosity to deeper concentration. It is an information core, she said quietly, but not human, and not from any mining operation. Ethan felt a faint vibration through the floor, responding to the core's slow pulses. So someone hid alien technology in an abandoned human facility? No, Sierra said, her voice softening as she traced the glowing surface. Someone hid it for you. Ethan froze. For me? What? Sierra looked up at him with a quiet certainty. Because this core only activates when it detects a match. It recognized your signature before you ever arrived. That means whoever placed it here knew your patterns, your movement, your future assignment. Ethan swallowed, the implications settling heavily in his chest. You mean someone predicted I would come? Predicted or planned, Sierra said. The core pulsed brighter, as if acknowledging their presence. She stepped back slightly, her voice a whisper. Ethan, the core has been waiting for you. The soft pulses from the information core brightened in slow, deliberate waves, each one casting a gentle shimmer across the chamber walls. Ethan stood still, feeling the light brush his face with a warmth that did not match the underground air. Sierra watched him closely, her expression calm but threaded with curiosity, as if she were waiting for the core to speak in a way only he could hear. Ethan took a cautious step closer. The device responded instantly, its rings of light tightening into a more focused pattern. It reacts to proximity, he murmured. Not to me, Sierra corrected softly. To your specific resonance. Whatever is inside that core recognizes you. Ethan inhaled slowly, the weight of the truth growing heavier in his chest. I am a maintenance engineer. A simple one. Nothing about me should connect to alien technology. Sierra tilted her head, her voice gentle. Patterns do not choose randomly. The core emitted a low tone, not sharp, but melodic in a way that settled the air. A small aperture on its surface shifted open, revealing an inner panel lined with a faintly glowing script that neither of them immediately recognized. Sierra stepped forward, her eyes reflecting the light. This script is old, she whispered. Older than the station. Older than most modern systems. Ethan glanced at her. Can you read it? Partially, she said. It belongs to a lineage that predates several star systems. My people have spoken of it, but few have ever seen it. Ethan felt the vibration again beneath his boots, stronger this time, like a gentle tug drawing him closer. It is calling me, he said quietly. Sierra nodded once. I believe it is. Ethan hesitated, then reached toward the core. He did not touch it. He only extended his hand until his fingertips hovered a few inches from the glowing script. The light shifted instantly, forming a new pattern that spiraled outward from his presence. Sira's eyes widened. It is reacting directly to your biometrics. The pattern settled into a series of concentric rings, flickering as if deciding whether to reveal more. Ethan studied it, a strange familiarity stirring in the back of his mind. This looks like a diagnostic pattern, he said, surprised by his own certainty. But not like the ones I work with. It is similar enough that your mind recognizes the structure, Sira replied. Perhaps someone chose you because you would not fear it. Ethan turned to her. Someone chose me? You really think that? Yes, she said simply. Because the core does not awaken unless it senses alignment. And it aligned with you instantly. The core pulsed again, brighter, and a soft projection shimmered into view above it. The image was fragmented at first, like static trying to form a picture. Ethan watched as the shapes twisted and rearranged. Pieces settled into place until the projection revealed a spherical map, dotted with interconnected nodes. One of the nodes glowed brighter than the rest, pulsing gently in time with Ethan's heartbeat. Sira drew in a quiet breath. That node represents your location, she said. But these others, she moved her fingers through the projection, highlighting smaller nodes scattered across the map. These appear to be dormant points. Waiting. Ethan stared at the map, a chill settling beneath his ribs. Waiting for what? Sira looked up at him, her voice steady but soft, as if she could sense the truth forming before either of them spoke it aloud. Waiting for the one who can activate them, she answered. Waiting for you. The projection dimmed momentarily, then stabilized again, the central node glowing with quiet certainty. Ethan stepped back, the enormity of the revelation pressing in on him. But I did not know any of this existed. You were not meant to know, Sira said. Not until the pattern brought you here. The core pulsed once more, softer than before, like a breath drawn in anticipation. Sira's eyes lingered on Ethan, warm with understanding. This is your connection, she said quietly. This is the truth the drone was guiding you toward. Outside the chamber, the distant storm rolled across the surface, its rumble barely noticeable beneath the steady rhythm of the core. Ethan stood in the glow, feeling the weight of a path he had never chosen but could no longer ignore. Sira stepped beside him, her voice almost a whisper. Ethan, whatever this is, it has been waiting a long time for you to see it. The projection above the information core shimmered again, flickering gently, as if responding to Ethan's unspoken thoughts. The glowing nodes steadied into a calm pulse, each one rising and falling in the same slow rhythm that now echoed faintly in Ethan's chest. Sira watched the map with a quiet reverence, her blue features illuminated by the soft light. It is waiting for you to choose, she said. The core will not open further unless your intent is clear. Ethan stepped closer to the device, the air warming around his fingertips. He felt no fear now, only a strange sense of belonging, as if this discovery was less a surprise and more a memory returning from somewhere he could not quite reach. What if whoever put this here expected something from me, he asked. What if I cannot give it? Sira shook her head, her voice gentle but certain. The core does not measure capability. It measures alignment. It chose you because you are the one who will not harm what it contains. Ethan let that settle in the quiet room. Her words carried a calm truth that anchored him. Slowly, he extended his hand again, hovering just above the glowing surface. The core reacted immediately, light sliding toward his palm like shimmering threads. The projection shifted. The central node representing his location brightened, then slowly expanded outward until the entire map dissolved into a single soft glow that surrounded the core. A panel on its surface slid open, not with force but with a soft sigh, revealing a small cylindrical capsule nestled within. It was clear, no larger than his hand, filled with suspended particles that shimmered like dust caught in morning sunlight. Sira leaned closer, her voice barely above a whisper. It is a seed core, she said. A preservation vessel for knowledge or memory. A relic from ancient travelers. Ethan carefully lifted the capsule. It felt lighter than he expected, almost weightless, and a soft warmth radiated through his palms. Why leave something like this for me? He asked quietly. Sira met his gaze, her expression softening. Because seed cores do not search for power. They search for caretakers. They are drawn to beings who guide rather than take. Ethan swallowed, a subtle realization forming. So someone believed I would protect it. Someone knew you would, Cirrus said. The steady hum in the chamber deepened, but not in warning. More like a gentle signal that the message had been delivered. The surrounding lights dimmed, accepting that the core had completed its task. Cirrus stepped toward him as he secured the capsule carefully inside his pack. Now you carry what the drone was protecting. The question is whether anyone else knows you have it. Ethan nodded slowly. He understood. The drone had not been hunting him. It had been guarding the path to the capsule, ensuring the one who matched its resonance would reach it unharmed. As they made their way back up the incline, the storm's distant rumble returned, reminding them that the surface still echoed with restless energy. When they finally reached the upper corridor, the drone hovered near the ceiling, its lights calm and steady. Neutral, no longer fixed on Ethan. It drifted toward them just enough to acknowledge Cirrus' presence, then rotated slightly to face Ethan. A soft pulse emitted from its center, almost like a polite farewell. Cirrus tilted her head. It recognizes that its purpose is complete. Ethan watched the drone drift away down the hallway, its lights dimming until it vanished beyond the shadows. Together, he and Cirrus stepped out from the half-lit corridor into the wider passage where the storm's glow filtered faintly through the skylights. Cirrus looked toward Ethan's pack, where the capsule rested safe and quiet. The pattern shows you, she said softly. And now the path is yours. Ethan did not respond at first. He lifted his eyes to the storm-lit ceiling, the distant hum of the station settling into silence around them. When he finally spoke, his voice was steady, shaped by an understanding that had not been there hours earlier. Then wherever this leads, he said, I will not walk it alone. Cirrus' eyes warmed, reflecting the pale glow overhead. She nodded once, slow and sure. In the quiet that followed, the storm eased its grip on the station walls, and the lingering pulse of the information core faded into memory, leaving only the soft echo of possibility between them.